this project. This one started a long time before my life began, but it's interesting too because God knew me and had planned my entire life and story before I was born. Maybe before the story even started. So, interestingly, I awoke to ideas and thoughts and words with God very quickly. I didn't even get into my normal morning prayer, which I have a very normal one, and it's mostly to start a day in prayer before I start my conversations with God, which are many. Okay, well, this one went straight to conversation. Not that I was misunderstanding, I knew these things, but there was more clarity given with them. And so it's to the fools. Okay, so let's understand something about the ones that are fooled into being bad and tricked into being liars and fooled into being tricksters. Okay, part of the bad side of this flavor. Okay, well, the thing about it is there is a simple test to see whether or not you could help them out of that. And that is just to call them and seriously actually say this is what you've done wrong. And if they respond with bitterness or anger or denial, then it's not as likely. So then God will make you some clothing and he will send you off with your shame and your hiding. Okay? Because in the Old Testament there is the stories that will bring some light to these things that I'm actually even saying. Okay, so then Eve was tricked. Okay, so the best parts of my adventures with God are in the mornings and the clarity in which usually is very, very first thing because I'm within a state that is there is some crossovers and things that happen in the evenings with me, and they are in spirit. So conversations and prayers in the morning are very insightful, and this one was a question. I had questions for God. Okay, so everything is within God. Okay. What is the separation during the creation? So he separated the dark and the light. Okay, pay attention to this part of the story. So when Adam and Eve were to eat of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and understand something also very clear. I've said this a few times, and I'm going to say it again right now, is that, wow, do I ever understand it? It doesn't mean that I am going to choose to make dark and bad decisions anymore, that's for sure. But the trickery and the foolishness is there, and the enslavement with the heart of sin. Now, that is to see it and to be given choices, of course. But this is part of a learning experience. So it's something we asked for, and we didn't just ask for it. When I say to the effect where Adam and Eve were in the garden and God comes into them, and God knows all. So when God says to them, "Where are you?" Think about this one. God is asking them where they are. And they are hiding from God because they now know they're naked. So already the fruit has kicked in, okay? So they have shame, they have fear, and they are hiding from God. What is one of the bigger problems I was to mention yesterday in the temples? It is the hiding from God. It is the fear. It is to worship and to go to other gods, asking the God, the creator, the other gods, to give the things that only one God can give, which is the God of life, which is where everyone is residing. But there's a question there too. So, but here's the thing. Okay, so does God, he knows, Okay, so he speaks to them about what they've done, and there's repercussions and all sorts of things. And the shame is still there. It exists. It's not going away because they wanted to experience and understand. They want the knowledge of what is good and evil. So also, we're not to eat of the tree of life, okay, until we've gone through the lessons. So if we were to live throughout this experience, the knowledge of good and evil, and we were to choose to do good the entire time, then we would be permitted to eat from the tree of life. Yeah, to live forever. But to be given the experience to understand what good and evil is and to choose evil over and over and over again, to fail, miserably fail, to the point where God has come down and says, well, I have another way in which this can proceed. Yeah, Jesus. Okay, yeah, where everything is to reside, where everything is. Okay, anyway, I'm getting ahead of this story. I'm jumping too far ahead. Okay, because there is many failings. Okay, first of all, so God gave clothing and so forth to us, and we are being sent to a lower state. Yeah, the fall. The fall is in there as well. There's nothing I'm going to say that isn't in the Bible. This is Old Testament. This is New Testament. The interesting thing is I don't have to even open the book anymore because I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. I know it's in there. I know what I'm saying. The knowledge. Yeah, well, I know the knowledge. Interestingly, parts of my story align with parts of the story in the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's like God wrote this story. Yeah, he did. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so experiencing and understanding some of these stories. Okay. Oh, so now they are there to learn these experiences, the ones of shames, the ones of sorrows, all the sinful ways and so forth. Well, then there's Cain and Abel. So Abel is seeing favor in some of the loving ways that he is doing things and presenting things to God. And Cain is very upset in the benefits that Abel is to see in the love and in the gestures of love and concern and caring ways of God. Yeah, to think that someone who behaves good, think of it in terms of your children. Okay, because we're all of God. So the child that is to go outside and put efforts into maybe making some breakfast and doing all sorts of nice, kind, favorable things. They don't want a pat on the back. They're not looking for rewards. They don't want even more attentions to the things they do. They do them just out of their rooted in unconditional love, because that is the true nature of God. Love. God is love. Okay, so when you behave in love, you're closer to God. But when you're distancing yourself from love, you are also distancing yourself from God. So what would the normal reactions to these things? Well, okay, so in the experience of knowing good and evil, in this case, there's tricks and there's deceptions. Okay, so the deceptions and the tricks in this case brought forth Cain into jealousy. Oh, so he wants what his brother is to have, but he doesn't want to earn it. So he wants to steal it. So what does he do? He kills him. So there's much suffering and much pains. Now we have murders. Okay, even though Satan, the serpent, the dragon, whatever, essentially he is of the first evil. Because now all of mankind, all the kind of man, are to die, including Eve. And the pains and punishment, even the childbirth, she is to suffer, bringing people, children, spirits into the world for the choices that she made. But the learning experience is there, and there is much pain and suffering to come. And it gets to a point where God is to even say, this is because there is so much. There is the idolatry, the failures. It is to a point where, the parent of a good child is murdered, and then the other one is remaining in its sinful ways. but it's progressively gotten worse. It's not just gotten worse, it's to the whole point where the whole world is not just in their sinful heart. They celebrate it. Idolatry has got very, very bad. So the flood. And then God is to give a promise. It's to represent the rainbow. And coincidentally, the same world, it goes back into idolatry. Read the Old Testament, and you can see that the land of Judah, which is where Jew comes from, Judah, Israel. Yeah, the state of Israel, but the kingdom of Israel is different. But these are kingdoms that are of the people, and this is from the 12 tribes. Okay, but this is failure over and over again. So to the point where God is to say, this is not working anymore. So he's to come up with a new covenant. He says it, he speaks it, and he says that he's going to bring it forward. He's talking to these specific groups of people, and he says for them. Okay, but it's not just for them. It's for all the people. And you have to remember that essentially all the people of the world are from God. So, anyway. So we get to the story where the idolatry and everything continues. And these same peoples, if I spoke of yesterday, the temples. Okay, so you have the external temple, the one that is failing. But it's not just failing, it's putting people in positions of power within it that are encouraging the failures. So all the failments and failures and stuff are getting... Yeah. So... Big failures to the point where it's ridiculous. And I was to try to show the external and internal. So the temple of God is internally. And this is with the new covenant. This is not the one of laws, where we showed over and over the great ancestors of Adam and Eve that, with the Cain and Abel. And coincidentally, you can see the symmetry with the stories and stuff when you know my story. Yeah, Cain and Abel. Yeah, I'm not sure which character I am. Yeah, the one with the hole in the head? Yeah, not dead though, okay? So I lived through the story to tell you, okay? I'm not taking my clothes off or anything. I'm still with the nudity shames, okay? Yeah. Yeah, but if you can see, I'm looking pretty good. 54. It's continuing to show up like I'm looking a little better. Yeah, all the years their witchcraft and sorcery stole from me are coming back. Okay, back to the true story here. So the situations with the idolatry and the external temples and the corruption of the world. Like to look to the church and suggest that is how God wants it to be run is upside down world. No, these are golden thrones and wealth of the world that is hoarded and is kept from helping the poor, just as the nations. They are there to keep people divided. It's to the slaves from one country fighting the slaves from another. These are not wars for freedoms. These are wars to keep you free, dumb. Yeah. As in, you're free to be a slave. You're free to be enslaved and fight the slaves of other countries, but never free to fight your enslavement. Although these are by choice. So the temple, the internal temple of God, to respect God with all the good things that God is. God is love, God is kindness, God is truth. Okay? So simplify your day with the good, kind, loving ways of God. So I was at first in the prayer, I said that everything is of God, okay, but God has separated things. This is for the process of you to learn, okay? So, but if you're learning things to understand what is good and evil, and you are choosing to live out your days in evil, when God is also even saying you're not making good choices. You are hiding from God in shame, and then you are seeking shameful ways to behave and shameful idolatry and gods that support your bad behavior. This is like Baal and all sorts of things that are happening. This is like, they got the Jewish Kabbalah or whatever. Anyway, it starts with a K. Yeah, and the Muslims, the cube and so forth. But the entrapments of Satan are tricks of stories, okay? Here's the simple way to get through all the truth. Everything that I'm telling you is in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I don't even have to open the Bible anymore to tell any of my stories, but they are from the Bible, okay? There is some very big things that I just said right there. Very big, very good. And they have changed things with me as well. And I know it, and I will show it. I don't need to open the book. The book is in me. God knows it too. And here I am to share it because I care. I share it because I care. Yeah, I'm attacked by the enemy. Look at that hole in the head. Yeah. They can't kill me. But they sure have tried to isolate me into painful decisions, giving me painful ideas. Here's the thing. Yesterday, one of the things that I was reminded of is that some of the people that have attacked and hurt me are still only there to attack and hurt me. They are expecting payments of some kind from their trickery. It really is this dark. And my thoughts to it today were, he has his child in a Christian school, but he's not to realize the same mistake that most people are going to make. It's not being saved in the external temple that is there to remind everyone that it is external. So my thoughts again were to just simply say to him, look, you don't have to like me. I love you. And what I see is to the benefit of your child. So I considered what it would be for me to help him most in life is to help his child. But none of the enemy will do these things to help me and my child. As a matter of fact, it was quite the opposite. They destroyed my family. They went to the people that were closest to me to hurt me the most. And this includes my family. Don't think that I can see the parables in these stories. Interestingly, and I'm not sure in the history of all these stories which one I would have been. Yeah, because we're all here to learn these things. And if you read some of the biblical posts in which I made yesterday, sometimes you're the story with the ego that gets in the way. And sometimes you're the story where you surrender, and there's absolutely, it's not up to you. It's up to God. Yeah. And I surrendered to God a long time ago. I realized I was fighting an army of satanic soldiers, okay, soul dyers. These are people that are not just to die. They are committed to sin and the materialistic rewards of their catocracy, whereas the most corrupt are rewarded with the most evil. And that's how they see the world. Yeah. And I am here trying to remind them of love and remind them of truth and remind all the bad people that there is no way in which you could not go from the left path of Satan and turn to the right ways of God. There's no way that you can't do that. You can do it. It's denial. The loss of the enemy is by choice. Their choice in eating the fruit to understand the knowledge of good and evil, and they've also extended that beyond just the knowledge. They are living in evil ways. And I'm saying you don't have to. Yeah. Do I love the enemy? I love everything. I love everyone. God is of love, and I am close to God. And I'm not just here telling true stories. These stories are now embedded within. They are on my heart. They are from my heart. They are from God. God is in me, and I am in God. This is really good for me and really good for you. Yeah. Here's the thing. I tell this story, and some people will understand it, and some people won't. So, it was an effort for all, and it was a good win for some. Yeah, because God is the winning choice. Jesus is the win. This is a battle already won. And it was a gift from God. The new covenant, because the old covenant was not working, the external one of laws that we kept breaking over and over again, and this was from day one, okay? Well, not exactly day one, but do you think that God was to not know everything at all times? He did. Yeah, he does. The Alpha, the Omega. And when God is to say, where are you? He knew, okay, but he also knew there was something different. Yeah, because they had eaten from that fruit. So they were now not where they were supposed to be. Yeah, they were hiding from God. Yeah, come out of hiding and show yourself to truth and love in the way of God, which is also love.